Days of Our Lives spoilers for the next 3 weeks, June 2 to June 20, reveal that a wedding day will be bittersweet. Duo fans will also see more exciting returns, and all the criminal drama will heat up as well. The week of June 2 to 6 will bring Zach Brady's heavenly visit before Bo Brady awakens and catches up with all his loved ones in the land of the living. Hope Brady will be thrilled along with Sierra Brady Weston, who will happily let little Bo Weston and Addie Weston meet their grandpa. Sean Brady will also be relieved that Bo pulled through, especially since he always blamed himself for his father's coma. Bo will have a chance to reassure Sean and let him know this was never his fault. So many people will be delighted over Bo's awakening, but there will be tons of tears shed for John Black as he dies in the hospital. Marlena Evans will give John permission to go when it gets too painful to hold on. Other days spoilers say Jack Devereaux and Jennifer Horton Devereaux will head back to Salem. It won't be long until Jennifer's flipping out over Chad Demira's date with Kat Green and their obvious connection. Next, Doug Williams' Ivy will open up to Leo Stark. That could involve a conversation about Doug's lingering feelings for Holly Jonas, along with the new flying sparks he's feeling with Ariana Uri Horton. Speaking of Ari, she'll get into another major argument with Gabby Hernandez. Since Will Horton is in town, he may land in the middle of the conflict at some point. Over with Tate Black and Sophia Choi, their hospital tour could make the impending birth of their child feel a little more real. The closer Sophia gets to her due date, the stronger her baby bond may get. Will Sophia be tempted to throw out her adoption plans and keep her son or daughter in the end? How will Tate feel if Sophia ultimately makes that decision? During the week of June 9 to 13, Tony DiMera will return to Salem. Anna DiMera is also poised to kick off a comeback stint soon, so it'll be nice to see Tony and Anna on canvas again. Of course, it'll ultimately be time for a final goodbye since John's funeral service is coming up. John deserves a send-off worthy of a hero, since that's exactly what he is. Marlena will have a lot of tough emotions to process as a new widow. John's kids and grandkids will also have a hard time as they face this sad farewell. Other days, spoilers say Johnny DiMera may realize his actions have come back to haunt him. Johnny didn't actually fire at E.J. DiMera that fateful night, but Rachel Black still saw him with a gun and got rattled. E.J. also still seems to believe his son is responsible, so Johnny may have to set the record straight sooner or later. The week of June 16 to 20 should bring some joy back to Salem since a wedding's on the way. Paul Narita and Andrew Donovan were hoping to tie the knot with John present, but he'll still be with them in spirit as their nuptials play out. John would have been first in line to tell Andrew and Paul to move forward with getting hitched. It'll be bittersweet since John can't be there, but Paul and Andrew will still have plenty of supporters on this special occasion. Meanwhile, there should be some Xander Kyriakis legal updates sooner or later. A newly awakened Philip Kyriakis could strengthen the case against Xander and make it even tougher for him to beat the charges. However, Days fans know by now Salemites rarely pay for their crimes, at least not for very long. Xander is a pretty slippery character who may be able to get off the hook even if he has to resort to blackmail or bribery. Days of Our Lives spoilers say the next 3 weeks will deliver some bold moves and huge news, so don't miss all the action. Farewell to a legend. It's been nearly 9 months in coming, ever since we were all shocked to learn that Drake Hodgeston had passed away from pancreatic cancer. But Days of Our Lives has finally laid John Black to rest. Marlena lay by John's side, talking, reassuring him, reminiscing over their life and love together. She told him tearfully that he didn't have to fight anymore if he didn't want to. She knew he was suffering and his loved ones would go on. He could finally rest. And then, as Marlena lay next to John, she held him as his heart stopped. She kept him safe and loved, just as she told him he always did for her, until he breathed his last breath. If our tears weren't flowing before that, they sure as heck were by then. Meanwhile, out in the hall, Steve and Kayla could only hold each other and cry as they faced the facts that there was no way to fix this. No miracle drug to save John. Even in Salem, sometimes tragedy strikes, and there's just nothing you can do about it. Steve was the first person to appear with John Black nearly 40 years ago, and in the end, one of the last. And while the show's scribes promised they had an idea on how to undo John's death if Augustin had pulled through, we'd be darned if we knew how. If he'd remained comatose the entire time he was wrapped in bandages, it would have been one thing. They could have made the claim that they recovered someone else's body. But John was awake in the hospital and talking, haltingly, admittedly, to his loved ones. It would be a stretch to imagine that was anyone else under those bandages. It's a moot point, though, as John is finally resting, along with his portrayer who fought his own health battle right up until the very end. For longtime viewers and lovers of Marlena, this is the time to watch. Eric, Carrie, and will have all come back home. Sammy is on her way. Jack and Jennifer are back this week as well, and we're willing to wager a surprise or two are on their way as well. But still, in the midst of the sorrow, there is joy to be found. Paul and Andrew were hoping to celebrate John's recovery with their wedding. That isn't possible anymore, but they're still determined to bring the family together with some happiness in this heartbreaking time. And then there's Bo. John gave up his life to save his old friends, and Bo has finally woken up. We'll be seeing him a lot more this week, and while we'll be getting a joyful reunion for him, and hope, we can only imagine how he'll grapple with feeling a sense of survivor's guilt. In the wake of the emotional times ahead, Peter Reckel took to Twitter/X last week to share some touching words for fans that apply far beyond Salem. "It's been a rough 2 weeks," he wrote, "heck 2 years with people who mean so much to us. You are the most dedicated, passionate, vocal fans in daytime. Reach out to each other, make contacts, so you can get through these difficult times together." Steve and Kayla are marveling over how well John's doing in the hospital, though Steve's beating himself over calling John for help. Kayla points out that nothing was going to stop John from saving Bo's life, and he's on the mend now. Bo's recovering too, but Kayla's worried about complications from the drug. Steve's just hoping that if John keeps improving, they can go see Bo. Marlena's still by John's bedside, as she tells him she could stay there with him forever. She breaks out a coin Belle brought and reminisces over their tossing a coin in the fountain in Italy. There was another time he almost didn't make it, but then Belle dreamt of John with a coin in his hand, and it became a symbol that he would make it. She thinks back to the moment and puts the coin in John's hand. "I'm still here," he whispers. Marlena talks about their years together and their time apart. Her life only began the day that he stole her heart. She goes through all the identities John had over the years, from the pawn to her thinking he was Stefano. But she always knew who he was. "The man who saved my life. You were the man who protected me even in my darkest hours." Kayla and Steve head in to visit them, where Steve tries to apologize, only for John to tell him no regret. A nurse comes in with John's morphine drip, after which Steve tells John that Rafe left them to rejoin the FBI, so he's needed back at Black Patch. They flash back to when the two first started their agency, with Steve talking John into the idea. In the present, they joke about having to erect a statue to John, with all the heroics he's been pulling off. Marlena starts talking about his love of family, and we go back to baby Belle and Brady meeting for the first time. She then thinks back to their first wedding night and accidentally pushing him off the bed. But John starts choking while alarms go off. He can't breathe. Kayla gets oxygen on him and Marlena rushes back to his side, breathing with him, telling him she's got him. Marlena begs Kayla to do something, but there's nothing to do. All they can do is make him more comfortable. It might be time to call in a priest. Steve and Kayla do, and Marlena thanks them, admitting it was probably the right thing to do. She then asks them to leave her alone with him, and Kayla and Steve say their tearful goodbyes. Marlena and John declare their love for each other. Then Marlena tells him, tears running down her face, that it's okay if he needs to go. He's fought so hard, but he's suffering so much. They'll all be okay. He'll always be in their hearts. He can rest now. Meanwhile, Hope, Sierra, and Sean all gather around Beau's hospital bedside. The kids can't convince her to leave Beau's side. She snaps at them, then apologizes, saying that she's talked to him every day since he's been in here. They reminisce over Beau and his stories, flashing back to him telling a young Zach a tale before bedtime. Everyone notices Beau's eyelids flickering and call in the doctor, but she says his condition is unchanged. In Beau's mind, he's still struggling to get back into the pub, finally bursting in to see Kayla and Steve gone. The only one there is Zach, tending bar. Beau's surprised to see his son, but realizes that this isn't Salem. He vaguely remembers a dream with Zach and Hope with a lot of white, but brushes it aside and wants a hug. Zach tells him it's not a good idea though, he's not supposed to be here. Sean and Sierra suggest that maybe Beau's dreaming, and the Versavix is doing its thing. They talk a bit about him having always been a rebel and how it got passed down to his kids. Hope wonders if Zach would have taken after Beau the same way. Beau's eyes flicker some more and his heart seems to speed up. Hope's convinced that he's becoming aware of what's going on in the real world, and she starts talking to him, trying to call him back, flashing back to their first meeting, the motorcycle wedding interruption, hot air balloon, on and on. In the pub, Zach tells his dad that his place is with his living family. He's okay. There are loved ones all around where he is. Beau wants to stick around, but Zach tells him he has to make a decision soon. He'll always be waiting for his dad when it's time. Hope, Sierra, and Sean all appear in the pub, telling him it's not his time, while in the hospital room, all three watch Beau closely. Sean goes to call Claire and let her know what's happening. They're all hopeful. Hope tells him Beau to think about all they've been through. It can't end this way. We dive into more scenes from Beau's past, while in his dream, Beau's family tells him it's time to get moving. Zach hugs everyone else, and as the family watches, Dream Hope tells Beau to wake up. He's been fighting for years to come back, but nothing changes. Beau isn't sure it's meant to be. Out in the reception, Steve begs Kayla for something to save John. Anything. He'll go anywhere to help him like they helped Beau. But there's nothing. They collapse into each other's arms, crying. Marlena, meanwhile, lays in the bed with John, curled up, crying, remembering their life together as John's voice talks over it all, reciting his vows and telling Marlena that their love has always endured. As she lays with him, John's heart stops and she holds him until the very end. Real Hope stares at Beau, suddenly overcome by a horrible feeling, while Dream Hope snaps at Beau that he's not a quitter. Beau doesn't want to abandon Zach again, but he tells his dad he's never felt abandoned. Hope tells Beau to fight, to never give up. They've done all they can for him, now he needs to finish it. You fight for us, you fight for your family. Meanwhile, Beau starts coding in his hospital room, and Hope collapses onto him, telling him to hang in. Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal a preview clip has been released for the week of June 2, 2025. It shows Beau Brady waking up. As John Black dies, Marlena Evans must start a new chapter. Keep reading and let's talk about what is coming up in the Peacock soap opera. Let's start off with John, who has been in a hospital bed fighting for his life. The character was on his way back home when he jumped in to help Steve Johnson and Sean Brady. We're not sure how Hope Brady teleported, but somehow she was in Salem and in a hospital with Beau at the same time. Thanks to John's quick thinking, lives were saved that day. It also allowed the drug to be sent to Beau, saving his life. Unfortunately, that risky move will be the last thing that John ever does. Marlena lies next to John in his hospital bed. Doc tells him that if he needs to go, then it's okay. After John dies, the news will stun everyone in Salem. Kayla Johnson and Steve Johnson try to support Marlena in John's hospital room. Kayla then has to deliver the news about John's death to a stunned Roman Brady. At the penthouse, Marlena tells Eric Brady that there is never enough time. Sean Brady opens up to Hope Brady. Plus, Belle Black tries to comfort her mother as Brady Black fights back tears. Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal that the preview clip shows Marlena saying that she needs to learn to do things on her own now. This is going to be such a hard chapter for her, but she will have the love and support of her family. Plus, Maggie Horton-Kyriakis and Julie Williams know all too well what Marlena is going through, so they will be there as well. Over with Beau, he wakes up. Sean hugs his dad in one scene. Beau also tells Hope that one thing that hasn't changed is his love for her. Plus, there is a heartwarming moment where Ben Weston and Sarah Brady Weston's little boy calls Beau Grandpa. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most during the week of June 2, 2025? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Keep watching the soap on Peacock to find out what happens next. Days of Our Lives spoilers and rumors reveal Beau Brady may have a close call and wind up right at Heaven's Gates before the experimental medicine starts to work. This takes place the same day John Black dies on the show. One could think John sends Beau back, but instead he reunites with Zach Brady. John dies and Beau reunites with Zach on Monday, June 2, with John's scenes having been played by a substitute, not a recast named Alan Wayne Anderson. That's an important distinction to make, because no one could ever replace Drake Hodgeston as a recast. John shielded the experimental medicine, every single dose, with his body during an explosion in a meth lab where the medicine had been taken. It would be a terrible script to have John ultimately give his life to save Beau's, only to have Beau die anyway. So it makes much more sense for Beau's close call to happen before John's death and his son, Zach, send him back home, telling him it isn't his time yet. Zach was Beau and Hope's 8-year-old son, between Sean Brady and Sarah Brady Weston, who was killed in a hit and run. He was on his bicycle when a distracted Chelsea, driving Beau's SUV, ran over him and then fled the scene. She's Beau's daughter with Billy Reed. Zach's organ donations saved several, and Salem Claire Brady got his liver and Abe Carver got his corneas. In 2022, in the Beyond Salem streaming series on Peacock, Zach also appeared, that time played by Scott Shilstone, to convince Beau, who was at that time an angel, to return home. Beau was needed on Earth to help their family, who were being attacked by the devil in several different Salem citizens, and earned his life back, saving Trip Johnson's. Beau was on a heavenly mission before, returning home to Salem at Zach's insistence. But when he returned, he got his life back. Considering he had been in stasis all this time, thanks to Megan Hathaway, dimmer that mission may have been a near-death experience, as this one will likely be as well. Viewers may recall when Will Horton first returned to Salem, he took an overdose of anti-amnesia serum provided by Dr. Wilhelm Rolfe. He too had a near-death experience where Caroline Brady sent him home, saying it wasn't his time. It sounds like Beau's experience will be very similar, with Zach sending him back home again, not as an angel, but as human Beau. Be sure to catch up on everything happening with DOL right now. Come back here often for Days of Our Lives spoilers, news, and updates. While the devil hasn't shown his head in Salem for a while, Days of Our Lives has still delivered some horrific moments, such as when EJ was shot or John was engulfed in the meth lab explosion. Star Stacey Haydock, who plays the seductive and scheming Kristen DeMira, is no stranger to horror movies and TV shows. The actress had previously urged fans to buckle up for her vampire horror short, Brand New Cadillac, in October 2024. And recently, she shared some gruesome fun she had at a horror convention. Haydock shared a video on Instagram set to Bachman Turner Overdrive's rock classic, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. The video was a fast-motion time-lapse of her having extensive makeup and prosthetics applied to her, giving her a stitched-together, Bride of Frankenstein-type look, yet unique and refreshing. Despite the heavy makeup effects, Hayduk's incredible beauty shone through. The post's caption read, "I was so grateful to have been part of this talented group of artists. When a friend who I worked with on Superboy at Rob_Bermans_lab asked to be a model for this glamorous monster, I said yes. The process took 5 hours. The talented makeup artist at Salem Makeup did such an amazing transformation. Brava! Hair by a Jordinja Makeup Stunning Dress by Jennifer McManus at Pretty Vilco Shadows." The creators of rubberware products, which are rubber prosthetics used for various makeup special effects, are Robert Berman, who has worked on films like The Fly and Terminator 2, among others, and Jennifer McManus, who has worked on projects such as The Big Lebowski. Hayduk shared more videos post-makeup application in her stories, where she's showing off the amazing final result. One video was captioned, "And our wonderful bride played by Stacey Hayduk." Former Days co-star Tamara Braun commented, "Absolutely phenomenal." With Hayduk replying, "At Tamara Braun I agree." Paul Telfer eagerly wrote, "Amazing Stacey," to which Hayduk responded, "At Paul Telfer right." And among all of the wowed fan responses, Emily O'Brien reacted, "Wow, stunning work." And Hayduk reacted, "At M. Roya I so agree. John Black is gone." In the tough, emotional, and utterly heartbreaking June 2 episode of Days of Our Lives, a suffering John succumbed to his injuries. Meanwhile, Bo returned to hope in his family. A lot of times, a person's health takes a turn for the better right before the end. That's what happened to John. He was breathing fine, talking when he could, and Kayla had high hopes that John would fully recover. Unfortunately, John's health didn't remain stable for long. Suddenly, his health took a turn, forcing Marlena to give the love of her life permission to go. The entire episode featured more flashbacks. Marlena remembered her husband's many identities in Little Belle and Brady. Steve reflected on the beginnings of the Black Patch Detective Agency. There was also the memory of John and Marlena on the hospital roof when Marlena was dying. But soon, John's breathing grew heavy and labored. After Marlena gave him permission to rest, John did just that, and it felt like the end of an era. John was a hero who always struggled with who he was, but it's what he became that was so much better. He loved doing good, he worshipped his family, and he made them his priority. He was such a good guy, and now John is no longer suffering. He's resting in peace. Meanwhile, wherever this facility was, Bo lay in his hospital bed, but there seemed to be signs that he was coming out of the coma. Hope, Sierra, and Sean shared their memories of their husband and father. And a number of Bo-related flashbacks played out, but Bo was going through a life-or-death choice. Again, he ended up at the Brady pub, where he was reunited with his late son, Zach. Zach was happy to see his father, but he didn't want Bo to get too comfortable because it wasn't his time. He felt that Bo needed to get back to Hope, Sierra, and Sean, but Bo wasn't so sure. He liked being there with his son and didn't want to let him down again. The show's way of letting us know that Bo was becoming more and more in touch with life was nice. All of a sudden, Hope, Sean, and Sierra showed up at the pub, where they were also reunited with Zach. Bo told his family he had been fighting for 2 years. He didn't know what else he could do to return to them. Hope asked him to fight some more and do whatever he could to wake up. And that's what he ultimately did. The first thing he saw when he woke up was his fancy face. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Tuesday, June 3, pick up after John's death with a devastated Marlena, a grieving Belle, and a vulnerable Brady. Marlena has been strong for everyone. She kept her children and grandchildren from losing hope, and took the bulk of the burden onto herself. But you can just be so strong for so long. And now, with John gone for good with no more chance of a last-minute miracle, she finally breaks down, mourning losing the love of her life, and the life they'd planned to live together. Belle was okay being with EJ, even though he had a very complicated history with her sister, Sami, even though she wasn't sure she could trust him. even though she suspects he's lying about not knowing who shot him. But that was before she lost her beloved dad. And now Belle has no more inner fortitude left. EJ assumes everything is as they left it. But for Belle, everything has changed, and she's not sure if she can ever go back to before. Will EJ accept the new normal, or is this the end of one of Salem's most intriguing couples in years? Belle's brother isn't doing too great either. Brady was already going through it, between Tate and Sophia's baby drama, Rachel admitting she saw Johnny holding a gun on EJ, and Kristen being herself. Losing his dad might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Brady may say the heck with it all and allow Kristen to comfort him, which never, ever ends well, except Brady never, ever remembers that until it's too late. Days of Our Lives spoilers photos for the June 3, 2025 episode tease the beginning of the goodbye to John. After making a deal with EJ, Kristen will get a visit from Brady that may prompt her to wake up a sleeping Rachel. Meanwhile, as spoilers for the week reveal that Marlena stays by John's side until the end, she'll then be seen holding close a photo of her and him. Days of Our Lives 2-week spoilers for June 2 to 13, 2025 see John Black's funeral. Bo Brady is back to Salem, and also a wedding. On Monday, June 2nd, things go up and they go down for one and down and up for another. So Hope Brady, Sarah Brady, and Sean Brady are there to support Bo. He's had the aversive, and it looks like things are looking up for him. But then we've got Heavenly Scenes' sorrowful Zach Brady, up in heaven with his dad, Bo. You know, that sounds like a near-death thing. Zach passed way back in 2006. He was struck by a hit-and-run driver, another kid of Bo's. If you don't remember that, also, Abe Carver and Lexi Carver actually had raised Zach for the first 2 years of his life because of a baby swap, but then Bo and Hope got him back. And I saw another news source saying that Bo finally gets to meet his son, Zach, and it's like, no, he was raising him. So this is just older Zach probably. They can have a conversation, and he couldn't have that meaningful of a conversation with a little kid. So then we're going to have Bo waking up, which is great news. Kayla Brady and Steve Johnson are reminiscing on the past, probably about John and Bo both, and just these terrible life-changing things happening. On Friday, John was doing better. Everybody thought he was going to survive. Brady Black was happy. Paul Narita was happy. Belle Black was relieved. Marlena Evans, all that. Everything was looking good. And then on Monday, everything takes a turn. And it looks like Monday is when he passes away. Marlena is there at his side and tells John, if you have to go, just go. It's okay, so get those tissues out. It's going to be big stuff all week. We're also going to have a lot of flashbacks these coming 2 weeks. On Tuesday, June 3rd, we've got Salem grieving Joe's death. Marlena, of course, is devastated and word begins to spread. Kayla personally goes to tell Roman the next day that John had passed away the night before, and this is going to be really hard. And of course, if you remember your old days history, there was that overlap of Roman and John, where for a while John actually thought he was Roman, and then they undid it. So it's very complicated. So they've got kids in common like Carrie, you know, who is the bio of one, but feels like dads are in both roles. Marlena, meanwhile, tells Eric Brady when she's back at home from the hospital after John passes that you just never get enough time with people that you love. And Belle rethinks being involved with EJ DiMera. Now, I don't know if Marlena comes hot off the heels of losing her husband and tells Belle, dump EJ. I don't think she would do that. But just knowing the issues and the idea of the family tolerating EJ at Belle's side at the funeral is probably going to be real problematic. So, you know, he's going to want to be there for Belle, but we've seen EJ realizing he can't and he needs to step back, and this is just going to be a really tough time. We'll see if their relationship survives it. Kristen DiMera opens up to Brady. Obviously, she's going to have to tell him about blackmailing EJ, so that Brady doesn't insist that Rachel Black go tell the cops about seeing Johnny Dimera that night. On Wednesday, June 4th, Hope and Sean and Sierra are celebrating a miracle. Bo is wide awake. We may see some flutters on Monday, but by Wednesday, he is wide awake talking to his family. It is such a big deal. So look for Peter Reckel to say his first words to people in person. Obviously, he was already having that heavenly conversation, so they're all celebrating, but at the same time, then they have to fill Bo in and tell him that the reason he's awake and survived was John, but he was injured in the explosion, and now everyone has lost him. So this is pretty terrible. Meanwhile, Andrew Donovan and Paul decide they're going to stick to their wedding plans despite this turn where Paul has lost his dad, John. So, are they going to rush out this wedding before the funeral? We'll see. Brady and Belle are there for their mama, Marlena. Well, mom's stepmom. And this, of course, is after losing John. And Marlena sees her life is about to change. So their mother and mother figure, depending on who you're talking about, both there to support her. And of course, after John's death, all of Marlena's friends, family, and loved ones are there for her, and to support the kids and grandkids. Everybody's grieving all over Salem. Thursday, June 5th, Gabby Hernandez is arguing with her daughter, Ariana. This wild child is going to give people a coronary. Kat Green has her charity date with Chad Dimera, which is bad timing because Jennifer Horton and Jack Devereaux are back to Salem for John's funeral. And Jennifer going to be a little, take that back, a lot mad about this date. Bo says that his love for Hope is still there. Of course, it came back right before he was shot. He was shot by Sean, if you remember, when I think his last words were fancy face, like right before Sean shot him, because he thought that Bo was going to shoot Hope, which he was going to do it. Bo also gets to meet little Bo Weston and find out more about his grandchild, half Sarah, half Ben Weston. It's so sad that he's working as Alex Kyriakis now because we never get to see Ben. And it's funny because I like Ben more than I like Alex. He has soaked so thoroughly into the new part though. So little granddaughter Addie is around as well. Tate Black is crushed over his grandfather John's death. And Holly Jonas is there to console him. And Leo has another conversation with Doug Williams where he confesses some things. Is he going to tell him that he slept with Gaby's daughter? I wonder if Doug is just going to say, I slept with this really pretty girl named Ariana. And Leo is going to be like, oh, that's Gaby's daughter. I can't remember if Ari mentioned her mom, Gaby's name, or her last name. Did he even get a last name? And her last name is Horton, not Hernandez. Anyway, so I think Doug's in for a surprise on Thursday. Friday, June 6th, Kate Roberts is at the hospital begging Philip Kyriakis to please wake up out of this coma. He was so terribly injured. And of course, Xander Cook has been arrested for the attack on him. Stephanie Johnson's manuscript's getting passed around. Alex had given it to Kate. I wonder if she'll give it to somebody. Stephanie's not going to be very happy about this. Carrie tries to console Marlena, who is of course inconsolable, and Jennifer rages about Chad getting close to Kat. And there's a tour of the hospital for Sophia Tate and Amy ahead of the birth of the child. June 9th through the 13th, we've got the funeral happening this week. We keep hearing it's going to kick off this week. We'll see how long it goes. We keep hearing that Semi Brady and Sydney Dimera's flights are delayed, but as far as I knew, Allison Sweeney was returning for the funeral. Theo Penglis is back June 12th as Tony Dimera. Lots of people on their way to Salem for a very sad goodbye, so save those tissues. Going to be lots of tears, lots of flashbacks on days of our lives. Peter Reckel said that it was very hard playing Bo at John's funeral. Also, he was upset when he was in town filming these scenes. He did not get to see Drake Hodgeston because Peter is living full-time in Alaska now, and it just didn't work out. So we'll see if Sami back. Hopefully she is. I don't know about Sydney, but if she is, I wonder if she is going to be a sorority teen and that they are beefing up for the summer season, like they used to do. And we are also going to find out if Xander gets bail, or if this plot's going to be totally sidelined until after John's funeral. And don't forget Andrew and Paul's wedding is happening. Look for Colton Little back as Andrew Donovan, and expect some other big returns for John's funeral. And I'm still wondering if we're going to get Dick Van Dyke back as Timothy Robichaud. I hope so, but we'll see.